Is that gonna work? What is up, my thrifty friends? Tabs here from the Urban Goddess shop. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a work with me, and I haven't done one of these in a long time. Like, I don't even remember the last time I did one actually, but there's been some things happening in the reseller world and just some new stuff that I was accumulating into a doc, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to chat about some stuff today. I also want to talk a little bit about Poshmark and what I'm noticing in sales and things like that happening currently in real time. First off, I'm going to do just a life and personal update. I've been doing really well as can be, I guess, right? And my mindset has kind of refocus this year, and it may have been the break I took. Like, I feel like that break was just so needed, and I feel refreshed. I do also think keeping busy is going to help me kind of get through the grief of losing my mom, which is never easy. And yeah, just gonna kind of keep busy and process things day by day. And if you've gone through, and there's so many people. First of all, thank you so much to everyone that commented on that video and shared their condolences. That means a lot to me. It just feels good to know that people are like thinking about you, or just your thoughts. And I have to throw this in here because before we lost Jeff's mom, I never knew what to say to people when they lost someone close. And I always felt like if I were to comment, or when I see them, give them a hug and say, I'm so sorry to hear about your family member, that it would upset them, that it would be hard for them, right? And after we lost Jeff's mom 2 years ago, I told Jeff, I now know what to say to people, and I know that it doesn't bring pain to people, and it actually gives them a little bit of strength. And yeah, so now when I receive it, I very much appreciate it. And if you were like me, a couple years ago, where you don't really know what to say, just saying I'm sorry for your loss can mean a lot to the person. And if you see them, give them a hug, whatever. I think it just feels good to have people thinking about you. Okay, whew. I gotta move on. Personal life, we've just been really busy. I mean, we're always busy. Snow's been sparse, so we haven't been snowboarding as much, but I feel like our kind of snowboard season is going to be kicking off next weekend, so we'll probably be heading out west to the mountains on weekends, which makes it a bit more challenging for the next 2 months, because I typically work the 2 days in the hospital, and then I have 3 days to run all other aspects of my business. But when we are leaving to go to the mountains on the weekend, my Friday actually kind of cuts off at noon, which is a little bit different than other weekends. So it's going to take some trickery, I think, and just really good time blocking. I was also thinking of a group Zoom where I could go over some of the strategies, and then people could also ask questions if it's something that you think would be useful to you, how I manage my time selling, part-time, while also running multiple businesses. Like, I have my YouTube business, which would be my content creation. I also have my mediumship, and then I have my podcast associated with my mediumship as well. So I am running 2 separate media companies, also reselling, and my mediumship. Yeah, I've I've really had to stay on task, but I'd be happy to share some of my strategies and things like that. So let me know if it's something you guys would be interested in. I think that's it. It's just, yeah, I don't know, week by week, right? Just kind of moving forward. Okay, let's jump into the news. So if you are new to my work with me videos, I know I have quite a few new subscribers. Welcome to the fun. What we do is cover just various topics in the reseller world, and I'm going to try and do these at least once a month. So one Monday a month, we'll kind of cover all the news that's been happening. If you guys ever come across news articles, please feel free to send them to me on Instagram, and then usually I'll read them, screenshot them, add them to my Google Doc. Commenting on YouTube also works, but I know with Instagram you can actually send me the link, and I don't think you can put links into the comments of the video. I think only I can put links into the comments of the video. And then I can add it on if we haven't already talked about it. So yeah, we're just gonna jump right in. I feel a little nervous just because I think I haven't done this in a while, but I'm ready to go over some of these topics. So first off, Vinted will be closing their doors in Canada on February 12th, 2024. So that's coming up really shortly. I know they had sent out the notification, I think in December. Like, I think there's been a lot of notice for people to kind of wrap up sales. So they made a statement. Unfortunately, it proved too challenging to maintain the standards of experience, I think on the customer side, that we want to give our members worldwide. So basically what they were offering in the States, they were just struggling to offer here in Canada. I was unaware that there was any issues happening prior to this post. And I don't know if any of you guys had a sniff that things weren't going. It's not a platform I sell on. They really weren't pro resellers. So I was just like, if I can't cross list everything over there, I'm not even messing with it. But I do know lots of people were selling on Vivint and had Vivint. That's our home security company. And my hair, I'm getting these strayaways. Vinted. And yeah, it just wasn't a platform that I sold on, but I do know other resellers that were making pretty good money off the sales that they had there. So all accounts will be closed after February 12th once orders are received and payouts go out. So make sure that you are receiving your orders, shipping them right away, and cash out your payouts. And then I think there was like, if you don't receive your payout, you have to fill out another form. Like there was kind of a rigmarole. I would probably just stop right away. I think they were going to start disabling sales maybe 2 weeks prior. Yeah, there's just a bunch of information. If you are a Vinted reseller, that sucks, because here in Canada, we don't have a lot of options. We don't have McCaffrey, we don't have Courier, we don't have Jamble. Like all we have is eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Poshmark. We have Grailed, Etsy, but a lot of those are kind of niche-y clothing reseller platforms. Like the cool ones I feel like everyone talks about, we don't have access to in Canada. So yeah, I think just sad because it just reduces one more place you can put your listings in. All right, next topic. Stallion, if you are Canadian and you are shipping through Stallion, they did do some sort of notification, I think, that went out, and it now is you need pre-approval to use them as a cross-border courier for Poshmark labels. So if you are a Canadian and you're shipping across the border and you use Stallion, basically what you do is that you make your orders from the US, you print them off, package them up, and then you process them with the cross-border courier, and they charge like 70 to 90 cents to get them across the border and drop them off at a USPS postal station. I've heard a couple different stories. I also did see someone post on Facebook, and it was screenshots, and she said she didn't have any issues getting accepted. So if you have any knowledge or experience with this recently, please drop in the comments and let us know. That was the only follow-up I had seen from someone since it popped up, and it's probably more of like in a Canadian Poshmark selling group on Facebook. There's good stuff posting in there. Next up, Vendoo. I am not a Vendoo affiliate, but they are offering a promotion, and it was like you had to promote them 30 days in a row on social media, and then you would get 1 free year, or was it like 11 free months or something like that? I do want to say that I think it was a smart move on Vendoo's behalf, because they got so much free advertising. I kind of felt like it was something Poshmark would do, where they're like, create content and then you like might win a prize, or they promote you on their page or whatever. And I think I did the math, and if I'm right on what the Vendoo yearly membership, it works out to $16 a post. That's the value of posting those 30 days in a row. That is dirt cheap promotion on their half, and they're just going to write off the free memberships, right? That doesn't really matter to them. That's an easy thing. So I just wanted to say, if you are seeing a bunch of resellers posting stuff about how much they love Vendoo, how easy it is, blah, 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 all that stuff to use, please keep in mind, a lot of them are doing a promotion right now. And it's just good for us to use discernment when we see people advertising and talking about a product. Next up, I have been seeing so many lawsuits on fakes. And if you follow Fashion Law on Instagram, you would have noticed this as well. Like, that's been everything that's popping up on Fashion Law Instagram's news page. I know Posh also changed their rules for class action lawsuits a few weeks ago, and I was wondering if maybe this implies or implicates people that sell replicas on Poshmark, and if these companies were to come after Posh for allowing the resale of replica products, because like these companies are coming down hard. I think they're trying to not be responsible. Like, I don't know, I've heard a few different reasons why they would change the wording in their policy and put that out. I think they sent it out like on New Year's Day or the day after, and it was like, these are the changes right now that they made in their terms and conditions. I have zero knowledge in legal stuff, but maybe if we have anyone that's a lawyer, works at a law firm as an employee, maybe they could shed some light on this as well. But there has just been so much fake stuff being sold, and I know that that's a really big conversation right now in the reseller world. So I kind of wanted to take time in this video, and this is going to be a pretty big segment right now, but similar topic, but kind of different. Has anyone else noticed the amount of fakes being sold in live shows as well? I know this has been happening for a long time on the app, but I think with the live shows now, it's just so quick and easy for them to offload tons of them. And I've just heard a lot of people rumbling about it. So I wanted to take this chance to do some quick education on replica designer products. So replica designer items, also known as counterfeit or fake goods, have various impacts on individuals, industries, and economics. So replica items can lead to significant financial losses for legitimate designers and brands. They lose revenue due to the sale of the counterfeit products, affecting their ability to invest in innovation, research, development. So counterfeits can also cause job losses. The counterfeiting industry often operates outside legal frameworks, leading to the loss of jobs in the legitimate manufacturing and retail sectors. There are safety concerns, so health and safety risks. Certain counterfeit goods such as pharmaceuticals, this is going into other things, electronics or beauty products may pose serious health and safety risks to customers as they may not adhere to the same quality and safety standards as genuine products. Intellectual property infringement, so violation of intellectual property rights. And I think this has really been a big one that they're upset about. Counterfeit goods infringe upon intellectual property rights of designers and brands. This undermines the value of trademarks, patents, and copyrights, discouraging innovation and creativity. And that's where you're having those logos that look too similar, patterns that are too similar, that are trademark patterns of certain designers. That's been under fire a ton. I can't even think of any specific ones because there's just been so many, and some of the actual lower value brands I don't even recognize. They're not even ones that are on my radar. Consumers purchasing replica items may be misled into thinking they're buying genuine products. This deception can harm the reputation of authentic brands when customers unknowingly purchase substandard or inferior goods. And I do think this is the case sometimes. I want to say most people know that they're not getting a genuine product when they're buying replicas off of Poshmark, but I think there are people that are deceptively selling replicas as designer ones, as real ones, and they're duping customers. And I've heard of them actually going through Poshmark headquarters when the sales are over 700, making it through their authentication process and getting to the customer. And the customer's like, this isn't real, this is a fake. And there being issues on that. There's just been a ton of issues. I wish that Poshmark would pay like an outside authenticator, someone that specializes, that's what they do, and just third party it out. And if you are buying those products, maybe there is a fee that's charged to either the seller or the buyer, or maybe it's split 50-50, but it is sent somewhere that is what they do. Yeah, I don't know all the details on that. I just think that this is a common issue right now. And then also one of the ones that I found really interesting were links to organized crime. And I didn't really know much about this. The production and distribution of counterfeit goods are often associated with organized crime networks. The funds generated from these illegal activities may contribute to other criminal endeavors. Very interesting. And I wanted to dive a little bit deeper here. When people are like, what am I like, who cares if we have replicas? Like, how is this harming anyone? Maybe someone wants designer and can't afford it, whatever. I know there's like a million reasons why you would purchase it, but let's go into the crime ring stuff because this is very real. And I did a bunch of research into it. It's like most of them are heavily linked to this stuff. So organized crime networks, production and distribution, large-scale production and distribution of counterfeit goods are often controlled by organized crime networks. These networks exploit the demand for cheaper replicas, and the profits generated from such activities may fund other illegal operations. Also, the illicit proceeds often are used for money laundering, so the substantial profits generated from the sale of counterfeit goods need to be laundered to appear as legitimate income. Criminal organizations may use the counterfeit trade as a means to legitimize their illegal proceeds. I can't even make this stuff up, guys. This is so real. Counterfeits engage in fraudulent activities by copying trademarks, logos, packaging to deceive consumers. This constitutes intellectual property theft and fraud, which are both criminal offenses. Smuggling and trafficking, so cross-border operations. The counterfeit market often involves smuggling and trafficking networks to move goods across international borders. Criminal organizations exploit loopholes in customs and border controls to transport counterfeit products. I did not know that. I don't know if that would really apply to like clothings and purses. This may be like counterfeit medications, maybe some of the more like FDA approved products, but very interesting. Here's a fun fact. I actually did a continuing education on drug diversion for pharmaceuticals because I work as a licensed pharm tech. And they said, what is it? 10% of drugs tested are found to be fakes, replicas. So what they do is when there's drug shipments coming from whichever country, a lot of them come from Pakistan and India, when they're coming over to the US or Canada, they will swap out maybe like pallets. So say there's like 10 pallets, one pallet will be swapped out for fake drug, and then they take those and then they can resell them at street value, or they can sell them again as product. And I did not realize, but yeah, they said 10% of what they test at FDA comes back as counterfeit. That's a really high amount. Okay, we'll keep going on this. Violent crimes, so protection rackets. Criminal organizations may use violent means to protect their illicit operations, including counterfeiting. This can involve intimidation, threats, violence against competitors, or those who attempt to interfere with activities. Again, I'm not too sure if this applies to like Chanel purses, but I have heard that there was like some gang or like criminal organization intimidation involved with why do I feel like Shein? I thought I read an article in like Shein or Temu or something was involved in that. Okay, we got to keep going. I am so easily distracted by this because I just found it so fascinating. Corruption and bribery. So corrupt practices, counterfeits may engage in corrupt practices such as bribing law enforcement officials, customs officers to facilitate the movement and sale of their goods. Cybercrime, so online counterfeiting. The internet has become a major platform for the sale of counterfeit goods, aka Poshmark. Criminals use online marketplaces, social media, and dedicated websites to sell replicas. This involves cybercrime activities, including online fraud and identity theft. And I thought that was really interesting as well. And then the health and safety risks, oftentimes this was related again to the pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and electronics that were not meeting industry standards. I also want to just talk about something with this online counterfeiting. So a friend of mine was doing some comp searching on Levi's jeans, and I think this was on the Canadian side, and she came across a whole bunch of Levi's jeans that were selling for $999 in someone's closet. So I went and looked at their closet, and there was quite a few sales that were for that $999 value, and items that were worth under $50, which I found was really strange. And I was just thinking, you know what? That would be a really easy way for someone to launder money, right? Or use stolen credit cards. If you had stolen credit cards, you would charge it. It's paying you out. Posh would take a 20%, but you would turn that into cash funds. I'm just like throwing spaghetti at the wall. I'm not saying that's what this person is doing, but how do you end up with all these sales that are $999 that are not worth $999? It just seemed really strange to me. So if anyone has any insight how that happened or why it would show up with like that, please drop down below. When I thought of it in that way, I was like, oh my gosh, how many times is that happening on Poshmark right now? And I'm not accusing Poshmark of anything, but that's a very easy scam to launder money through. Yeah, okay. Well, that kind of wraps up that whole segment. I just found it really interesting, especially when we started talking about the topic of fakes. And then I did some research because I was like, how does this affect people? We all know it's wrong. We all know it's illegal, but how does this impact people and the industry and things like that? So really good information in that. Okay. I wanted to move on to just talking in general about Poshmark with sales. So personally, I don't know if you guys checked out last week's video. I'm going to pop it up here somewhere, where I talked about making sales and not having to do live selling. In the video, I say there's nothing wrong if you do live selling. There's you can have 100 different business models. It's not something that I personally do, but making sales is possible. Okay, so you don't have to be a live seller. I want to just hit that home for people. You don't have to be a live seller to make money on Poshmark. I think you just got to know what's selling and know your sell-through rates on items. Now, I have been noticing starting this weekend, sales were really starting to pick up. So I had a pretty good week. I don't know what my sales will work out for the week and for the month of January. As of today, which is the 21st, I think, my sales are at 3,200, I think, Canadian, which is pretty good. Also, I didn't really list much for about 5 weeks. I just started listing items last week. So yeah, I just want to say sales are possible. Pick up smart stuff. I know everyone thinks because I sell Lulu or Aritzia stuff that's why I'm making the sales, but I talk to other resellers that do not have access to Lululemon, and their sales are nose and nose with mine, and they just are picking up items that they have available, that they have done research on, and many of them are not things that I normally pick up, which I just find so fascinating, because to me it proves that you can literally sell anything. You just got to know what is selling. Do you know what I mean? Every brand has items that are selling in them. You just got to know what are the most valuable pieces for that brand. And last week's video, we kind of talked about that. Or was it last week's video or the video I put out a couple of days ago? I don't even remember. Time is just eluding me lately. But yeah, I felt good about it. And I just wanted to come on here and say that I have noticed my sales starting to pick up. I'm hoping that whole Christmas crunch bubble that people were experiencing is starting to burst, and that we all start to see sales more. If you see nothing moving in your closet, reevaluate what you're selling, okay? Because there are people out there shopping. People are starting to buy stuff. I don't think sales ever ceased to happen. I've been making sales every other day probably for the last couple of weeks, but yeah, really look at what you're selling and start doing some research, and I think you'll be able to make some different choices. Try and liquidate maybe what you have, take it to a buy sell trade, do a live show, do low starts, whatever you want to do, but maybe try and recoup some of those inventory costs back and then reinvest it into better inventory. All right. Well, that's all I got to talk about. There's probably some other news things that I haven't covered, and if you think of anything else, drop in the comments or shoot me a message on Instagram. So yay, we did it! I did a work with me, which I feel like has been 2 months since we've done one. Yeah, and it felt good to get back on here. All right, on that note, If you haven't already liked this video, please do. It just helps me so much get my video out into the algorithm. Also, if you are not subscribed, please do so. 50% of people watching my channel are not even subscribed. And that's because YouTube is just so darn good at, what the heck is it, recommending people in their videos. So if it's something you commonly watch, it'll recommend. But subscribing also helps my channel, and it's a totally free way to support me. Okay. On that note, I'm gonna warm up these fingers. I'm sending you guys so many sales, lots of sales, and I will see you next time. Bye!